I do kind of like that it's a buddy comedy so far. At least that's what I think it's going to end up being.
Uh-huh.
But that it's just like Oscar Isaac's, personalities playing with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I thought,
you know what I
yeah, I
mean?
was thinking, like, who's his buddy, the goldfish?
Yeah, I was
No,
thinking that too. I was like, is this
no,
buddy Ethan
it's
Hawke? We're going to talk about Moon Knight, the new superhero phenomenon on Disney Plus, starring Oscar Isaac and my boy Ethan Hawke. Actually, Oscar Isaac is more my boy than Ethan Hawke is, but
That would be a weird boy. To
yeah.
Your weird uncle.
But it's super exciting. But Ed, since you were just joined us, why don't you get us right into it and tell us your thoughts on Moon Knight?
Okay, here we go. So, one episode in, I can't say I know a lot about Moon Knight, not Moonlight. It only, we have our friends Sean Carter and Josh Brown who have told me a few things about it, but overall I've kind of tried to remain ignorant and just see how it comes, which has kind of been my approach to the whole Marvel universe, because I really didn't know much about any of the characters beyond, the Hulk, Spider-Man. Anyway, so this was interesting to go into, and the first episode, I gotta say, really kind of pulled me in. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought I liked that they didn't really show Moon Knight the character
Yeah.
until the very end, and spoiler alert, everybody.
Oh yeah. Spoiler alert for all of this.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the first episode of Moon Knight yet, but the so far I would say it seems promising. I'm very excited. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Now, have you seen Moon Knight?
yeah, I watched it today. It came out, so I felt like giving it a shot. I definitely was a little in and out. Like sometimes I'd be peeking at my phone just a little bit to see, what's going on my phone, and then I realized, oh yeah, I should actually be paying attention to the show that we're going to talk about. I do kind of like that it's a buddy comedy so far. At least that's what I think it's going to end up being. But that it's just like Oscar Isaac's, personalities playing with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking, like, who's his buddy, the goldfish?
No,
That too. I was like, is this buddy
No,
Ethan
it's-
Hawke? Like, what a weird buddy. Who's this buddy? The goldfish?
no, he's like, I'm multiple personalities,
Yeah.
right? Like I was paying
yeah.
attention.
I understand.
all right?
That's
I was-
good. Yeah, I like that.
I thought I was coming in with like a dunk on a comment on this show. That's okay.
No, because you
That's
kind of
all
get that moment at the end, and when he has the mirror conversation.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was really when early on I could tell, okay, they're definitely saving it till the end from this
Right.
episode. We're not going to see him much at all. And I thought, as far as the episode set up, you know what I mean, it felt very earned by the time we got to it. And I like how they focused on his Steven character's persona or whatever for most of the episode,
Yeah.
and then kind of like right at the end he talks to him in the mirror for the first time, and it's like a switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was super into it. I was definitely, like Ed said, I was very pulled in by the end, and I'm looking forward to maybe seeing a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is going to be super exciting, and I feel like what we got in this first episode is going to be, it's just a tease of what's to come in the next episodes. Like, I don't even think we're fully into the story yet. This is like the prologue
Yeah.
to like Moon Knight, because we just were dealing with Steve. We're just getting introduced to like all of these problems. And now that he's like, we're seeing Mark Spector, who's the mercenary, who's like taken, the powers of Khonshu into his hand. Like, we're finally get to see him come out. I think things are going to get like darker and crazier and hopefully a little bloodier, but like also more fantastical with all those different elements. I was reading somewhere that the way that they kind of are framing this is Indiana Jones meets Fight Club together.
Oh,
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you mentioned a couple of things. First off, Luis, I mean, have you read the comics? Are you familiar with Moon Knight?
So, you know what? They just started doing actually a new line on recently, and it makes sense. Anytime like a new movie comes out, new show comes out, the Marvel Comics will come up with a line of their own. So this is like, I'm reading the new line
Oh,
by
okay, cool.
McKay and Capuccio. And so, but really, no, I haven't read it, and I know that there's different iterations that have changed. Long answer, no. I know iterations have changed ever since he's been introduced. You know, he came up trying to be like, I'll say, like a Batman version of Marvel, and it's kind of evolved and transformed into different things.
Yeah.
And it's like every person who takes ownership of that like comic series usually does their own spin and interpretation. So,
and it seems,
I feel like this is new for everyone.
It seems like they're trying to combine all of those elements with the show, maybe, that they might be, and just making it multiple personalities of that character. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, well, I know originally he didn't have the DID, which is like the dissociative identity disorder.
Sure.
But now, recently, it became like a thing that he has, and he has like these 3 characters. One of them is Steven, which I think Stephen Grant, and then Mark Spector, and then another dude that I forget. But
who, obviously we haven't met yet.
We haven't met yet. We know who knows what other additional like identities we might meet. But yeah, I don't know.
I will,
what else are you gonna?
I will say, you mentioned the violence. I'm surprised that people are expecting to maybe see ultra violence, and maybe that's Kevin Feige's issue by quote, like saying something like, "Oh, it's like Fight Club meets whatever you just said." What was the other one? Indiana Jones. Because that's a very extreme movie. So, like, you've already seen reviews kind of comparing it to Daredevil, and I feel like going into this, I knew at least that Disney was never going to let it get too violent, nor Marvel, because that's just the standard that they've set. So I don't, like, it might be a little bloodier than normal, but I'm not expecting, like, oh, fuck me, that was like, Viper versus the Mountain.
It's not going to be like that Punisher scene in Daredevil when he's just like destroying people in the jail cell. I don't know if you've seen that.
I wish I had, Luis, so I could get your reference. But no,
super bloody.
Yeah.
It won't be obviously like Quentin.
Did you guys see this week? Someone commented on the internet that Disney is going through and editing some of their shows to make them less mature.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, Falcon and the Winter Soldier had a couple of scenes that were edited just recently.
Serious?
Yeah, like there was like I don't have the examples in front of me, but a couple of them are like, a guy got punched up and so he's really bloody. Okay, and then in the edit they've gotten rid of the blood, so it's not as grotesque or whatever.
And his eyes were open, but now they're closed.
Yeah, for whatever reason, that's something they're saying. Yeah, he is dead, but like in a PG-13 way.
He died peacefully.
And I was talking like on our first or second episode about how I had just gotten a notice from Disney, as far as like you have to update your account to make it say like you'll accept those TVMA type violence or whatever. So I definitely think this is a transitory period for Disney Plus. Like, are they going to try to capture some of that vibe of like, say, the Netflix Marvel shows like Daredevil being and Punisher being a little bit more violent, or are they going to start to sanitize all their properties to kind of fit within that Disney mold, which I kind of feel like is the way we're leaning. So we'll see.
Well, I did want to talk about a few things. I had some thoughts about. I think, having Moon Knight coming to the MCU is a huge, like, I don't know. It signifies a lot of what's coming to the MCU, and I wanted to talk about a few of the things that kind of stood out to me.
Sure.
I feel like a lot of the movies that we're seeing have to deal with a few things, like 3 things. It has to do with facing your identity, gods, and dimensions. But mostly like facing your identity, like Spider-Man, multiple Spider-Men talking to each other, trying to figure out who they are, like trying to relate. And then there's going to be Doctor Strange coming out, and then there was the 2 Lokis, and then there are the 2 Visions, and there's this thing happening now with Moon Knight where there are multiple versions of himself. And it just seems like we're entering into a phase where superheroes are being like super reflective and
absolutely
and going through this identity journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the second theme that's coming up is a lot of gods are coming out. So you have Khonshu, the Moon Knight. You have the Celestials. You have Thor and all these things. And We have Gore, the God Killer, who's coming for Thor movie, and his whole thing is that he's going to give justice to gods. And so I wonder if he's going to like start influencing all of these gods that we're seeing now.
Ooh.
And then a lot of dimensions. You know, we have dimensions in Shang-Chi. We have dimensions in Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch. The multiverse is expanding, and I think it's just going to get so ridiculously big that the end of all this, we're going to have, I don't know if you guys heard of it, but Secret Wars. It's kind of a way to like eliminate all of these worlds at once, and everything just kind of shrinks back down to one thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so I think we're going into this very expansive place where we're going to look at different dimensions and worlds and timelines and parallel universes so that we can just collide and combine into just one thing again. And almost, I mean, this is going to take years. So by the time they even get to that point, they'll be able to reboot whatever they want, because in Secret Wars, that's kind of what they do. It's like everything ends, now we're starting over again. You know,
something I remember when the first Avengers came out was just like, wow, to myself thinking, wow, they're really gonna like set up movies to feel like comic books, you know? And that was in such a simplistic form when the Avengers, they got 6 of them together, and we were like, oh my God, Iron Man and Hulk are in the same movie. That's wild, you know? And now it's just so much more expansive. I never dreamed that like it would be so, whatever, so many layers to this thing. And I'm kind of wondering how general audiences are going to look at Marvel in the next 5-10 years. Are we going to eventually have like a fade out of a big chunk of people because they just can't see 10 movies a year?
That's
keep
the
up.
And all the shows.
The thing. It's like and all the shows. I mean, you know, they're trying to be like the comics. I mean, this medium is becoming very, very, very much like a comic, where there are so many comic books and so many storylines that it is impossible for you to keep up or read or to know where to go. You know what I mean? You really just have to pick your favorite characters and then just jump on board. And there's going to be something that you don't know. Like, you just have to accept it. Like, this world is like a spider web that's ever expanding, and you're just looking at a tiny bit of that web.
Yeah.
And you just have to take your time to move around. And that's like the genre of comics brought into the movie, literally working into the like the meta of your like viewing. You know what I mean? It is getting ridiculous. It's getting huge. It's hard to keep up. And at some point you're just like, well, I'm just going to watch this, because there's no way I can watch like over 25 movies and all of these shows.
It's exhausting.
And it's like it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I try to start comics. Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say, have you guys seen all of the Disney Plus superhero shows thus far? Like,
I have not watched Hawkeye yet. Hawkeye
Loki.
is the one I haven't watched.
I didn't watch that one either.
I think we need to. It was one of the better rated ones.
I think the last couple episodes were definitely my favorite of Hawkeye. It just kept getting better and better.
Okay.
See, we started it and we just got kind of like, we pivoted to something else and we just never finished it. And now Moon Knight's coming out, and that I already feel myself being like, oh shit, I'm already kind of like, I'm going to be missing some threads every now and then. I'm just going to have to assume.
With Moon Knight, it's so like standalone-ish. You know, I think they're coming at it to where it's like it doesn't really have a strong connection with the rest of the MCU. It might be like hints and little things here, but I think for the most part, if you just want to jump into something fresh without the weight of knowing anything, it's like a good place to go. But for Hawkeye, I think what was it, 4 and 5? I think it's episode 5 that is like my favorite of the season.
Well, we'll have to check it out.
4 and 5. Yeah. Episode.
Can we talk about some moments or just bits of this episode?
Yes.
Kind of break it down a little bit.
I love that idea, Ed. Talk about your moments.
Well, first off, I really enjoyed Oscar Isaacs in this. I thought he clearly is having a good time with it. And I'm glad they kind of started off with a not cool character, and they didn't dive right into his perspective of the action kind of thing. Like, he would black out and then suddenly it happened. Like, it was all like everybody was dead on the floor or whatever. I loved that. That was like just like a great little twist, but it kept you invested. You didn't feel like you were missing out. You just thought like, oh fuck, this poor guy. And that chase down the mountain in the cupcake van was great.
Yeah.
What, so much fun. And the way that Oscar Isaacs was reacting to everything that was going on, whenever he would black out and wake up again was great. He played it so well, and it really does. Like you were saying with the buddy comedy, I think it really is setting up potential for a lot of fun gags between these split personalities.
I absolutely agree. I loved early on in the episode, he's like calling his mom and he's like, I'm not sleeping well. I wake up every morning like I've been hit by a train or something. Yeah. And I thought that was nice dialogue to kind of like allude to what we're about to get into.
Yeah. And he's got like restraints on his bed. And going on that first date, he's just like, probably shouldn't talk about the restraints on the bed. Automatic red flag right there. It's like, fucking, yeah. But,
great physical like acting to physical comedy, like with the whole like holding the scabbard and then moving it back.
Oh
and,
man, yeah.
Like trying to give the scabbard to Ethan Hawke, and it just keeps,
because that's something
forward.
That would look
is so good.
It would look so cheesy if it's not done cleanly. You know what I mean? And I agree. That moment was very believable because okay, he's committing to this. So I definitely applaud Oscar Isaac's. Ed, I'm going to ask.
How was his British accent? Let me be honest.
Hell yeah.
It's not great, but fuck me if he doesn't commit to it. It's really not great. And you can hear...
thought it was good.
But he does it so well. Like, it's consistent throughout. It's like, I would say it's a better it's a better accent than what Benedict Cumberbatch did in Power of the Dog.
Wow.
I have a question.
You're right about consistency. It's like if you, let's say it's the worst accent you ever heard, but every time he makes it the worst accent you ever heard, you're like, okay, at least that's this character's way of speaking.
Yeah.
And it becomes believable. And one of the things that the reason why I texted you when I was watching the episode, Ed, was because like within like Oscar Isaac's like first 25 lines of dialogue, he had hit like all the staple like British words. He was like wanker, bugger, bollocks. And you just
later skater.
Wow, they gave him like a bingo sheet, and they were like, fill that bitch in.
Yeah, basically.
Right, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
I mean, even at one point, they say the boogeyman, and Ethan Hawke says boogeyman, and Oscar Isaac's like, you mean bogeyman? I was just like, oh god.
What region was that accent, Ed, that he was trying to do?
I mean, it sounds like London, but he's obviously got kind of like a higher pitch and kind of like a lisp almost. He said like his R's are like dweems kind of things.
Dweems?
Like, I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams. It's not as bad as that, but you know what I mean?
No, it is, though. It is just that bad.
But I buy into it.
I did too. His mannerisms, his whole, his body movements, just like everything. The fact that he's committing so hard to it is what makes it convincing. And at the
why did I say it like that?
Yeah, I got into it very quickly. I was just like, all right, this is it. And in trailers it sounds worse because it's like little splices of dialogue, and you're just like, fuck me, that's awful. But like we were saying, consistency, and he does it the whole way through. And then when you hear him talking to himself in the American accent, you're just like, I dig it, because it's the characters that differentiate it and what sells it.
I have to talk about that moment because that was the biggest moment for me of this entire episode. What was so great was that we were seeing this character, and even like whatever voice in his head he was hearing kept calling him the idiot or whatever. And the point I was going to make was his accent being so bad, like the fact that he was the idiot character and also talking, you know what I mean, and not the greatest accent or whatever. It just like kind of, it gives his character more weight. I'm like, I believe this character.
Definitely.
But the coolest moment was he had kind of been talking to the mirror a little bit throughout the episode, but you don't ever see who he's talking to. And then when they cut to it right at the end, and it's like the Oscar Isaac's the other character talking to him in the mirror for the first time, I was hyped. And especially when he was like, you're not going to die. Let me save us right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the line that sold the whole show for me. I was like, yes, dude, I want to see these characters interact forever.
Yeah.
And I am totally down to see where it goes. I was 10 out of 10.
I thought that the CGI on that whatever creature it was looked a little rough.
On Khonshu. That's what I was thinking too. I feel like there were some shots where they could have just put a
practical effect.
A person.
Yeah.
Like they could have practically done that. Like there are shots when he appears in the back and he's just huge and tall. And that's all you kind of see. Like put something practical there. And if you can't do the little cloth or whatever, what are they fucking called? The wrappings. Yeah, if you can't do the wrappings practically, then I'm fine with if you add that in post. But everything felt too CG.
Well, just like it was very blurry and quick, I felt like. Also, that deep voice, the first voice that starts talking to him, Khonshu, that's voiced by F. Murray Abraham, if I'm not mistaken. Which, as soon as I heard that, I was just like, oh, fuck yeah, he's in this too. Great. F. Murray Abraham from Amadeus and The Grand Budapest Hotel. He's an Oscar winner, everybody.
The name sounds so familiar. I definitely know the name F. Abraham,
he's in
but I'm just blanking on his face.
Scarface. Yeah, look him up. You'll recognize him immediately. But to have him also kind of, if he's just like the voice in the head too, it's going to be a fun interaction. Quick question.
He's going to be prominently in there.
Yeah, a quick question about the costume. I got to say, it doesn't seem very practical. It seems heavy. It's like he's wearing a lot of curtains on. It's just like heavy drapery. It doesn't seem practical at all. What are your thoughts?
I don't think it's I think it's like.
I mean,
supposed to be more threatening, like visually, theatrically. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't wear black because he doesn't want to hide in the night. He wants everyone to know he's there. You know what I mean?
That's dope.
Interesting.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's why. I mean, it's very theatrical. But yeah, I do feel you. You can feel like the pad. You can just feel padding when I look at the costume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I will say this. You said padding, which made me kind of think of something. I think the worst superhero costume I've seen so far is actually a DC movie, and it's Shazam. I hate the Shazam costume.
It looks so fake.
I think it just looks so fake. Like Henry Cavill in that suit, you're like, I believe you're muscly. I don't believe the Shazam guy
he said at one point in an interview, I think he said that those muscles weren't fake.
You know what?
Maybe he's just disproportionate.
Like,
I agree with. Like maybe they bulk him up a little too much and it doesn't look believable. And I'm not knocking on the guy. You know what I mean? Maybe he's working out, he's getting strong. I'm not knocking him. But it's
I don't know if you've seen The Boys, but or at least you know of The Boys. The guy in the one who's like, fucking Superman, who's like flying around. He is like not that big at all in real person. If you see him, I saw him in an interview and I was like, holy crap. Like you look like a completely different person because like that completely just adds like a whole figure. Yeah. He looks like a scrawny guy. And I couldn't believe how it worked.
I don't mean to go on a tangent, but it kind of ties into the Ezra Miller news. Did you hear that the guy that plays him, I'm blanking on his name, in The Boys, he plays the Superman character. I'm blanking on his character name too. But the actor.
Oh yeah, okay.
The actor himself, he was in a bar. He was shooting some movie in some other country, and he was in a bar and got into a bar fight and was basically like, "Do you know who I am? You don't want to mess with me. I'm super strong," kind of deal.
Oh
like he made a total ass of himself. And I'm just like,
calm down. You're on Prime
these
Video.
celebrities need to calm down.
They really do.
They're not superheroes in real life.
We're so
Side note: watch The Boys on Amazon. It's actually pretty good.
It's coming out soon again. Out soon. Miguel, you were talking about those mirrors again, and there was this cool, what's it called? Small detail. When he was freaking out, there was all the mirrors, and there's like mirrors everywhere. There's like reflections on the puddle, and then there's mirrors but in that one section in the restroom, which has an incredibly strong door for a restroom. You know what I mean? I couldn't believe how secure that place is. It's like, if you're ever in danger, do go to the
London Museum.
Yeah, but you see the mirrors, and you just see multiple, at that point, I guess Stevens or different one of them. And then as things get dire and more dangerous, they all disappear in the mirror, and it's just the one Oscar Isaac, and it's Mark Spector. So you have like all of these identities, literally you could see them, and then it's like, focus on me, give the power to me, and I will save us all. And I thought that was such a cool choice, how they were able to like clearly... Put your eye right at Oscar. Visually show.
Yes.
I need to watch it
That
again
was-
on a TV now.
That honestly,
watched-
Ed, yeah, you're missing out if you watched it on your little phone. All right, that was
Hey, I
definitely.
learned that from you.
Because I don't need to watch some dumb shit on the big screen. You know what I mean? But the Moon Knight seemed like it was something to want to
For
watch.
sure.
But no, I loved the way they set up this episode. Now I'm cautiously optimistic because I thought Falcon and Winter Soldier had a really strong start and especially a very strong middle of the season was really good, but it kind of waned towards the end. So I'm a little hesitant to see how it's going to go. On a quick comment, I am a little worried about these Disney Plus shows and like, you know what I mean? We were talking about the CGI a second ago, and it's like, okay, well, Marvel normally does really great CGI. What does that mean when we're going to see Disney Plus type shows? Like, they're going to be a little more scaled down. But I kind of am just trying to go with the flow on it and just accept it and enjoy it for what it is. So I'm hoping Moon Knight takes its places.
Me too. I got some questions. You know, I want to know, what the evil plan is. I want to know what the Gold Scarab's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know who he's calling that he thinks is his mom. And then I also want to know what happened to that fish. Like, did he just die because he didn't feed him for 2 days?
Oh man, and he
'Cause
bought a new one.
And then Mark was just like, well, I got to buy the poor guy a fish or he's going to cry.
Yeah.
So he went to the
Oh,
store
that's
and
hilarious.
got him a fish. Like, I was like, oh no, what happened to the guy?
Because even
Buddy
the
comedy, because now we're going to see
Yeah.
how
He looks
they react
after
to
him.
each other.
so, well,
Yes,
I bought you
yes.
another fit. Well, it would be the American guy, I guess. But
Yeah, let's hear your American accent. Go ahead.
well, I bought you another fish.
Fuck yourself, okay? That's not how we talk.
Well, I bought you another fish.
Get out.
That'll be Oscar Isaac's third.
Yeah,
character.
right.
Well, great. Well,
Thumbs
I'm
up for
looking
Moon
forward to
Knight.
Moon Knight.
Thumbs up. I'm
up.
excited. It'll be interesting too because I think in a couple of weeks Obi-Wan Kenobi starts, so they're going to start overlapping
Yep.
on Wednesdays.
Oh yeah.
Which is weird.
Are you
Episodes
guys
will
gonna-
become 4 hours
are you-
long?
Are you guys going to make me watch that show, by the way, or can I
Oh,
just
come
trust
on.
you'll watch
Come
it?
on. Join us.
You got to
I
watch
like
Obi-Wan.
I like you and McGregor.
Come on.
Okay, I'll
Yes.
take it. I'll take
Yeah.
it. Okay.
It's not going to be long. They're going to be like 6 episodes or something.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I want to be there when Darth Maul shows up. Wink, wink. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay.
Exactly. You don't want to miss that
Okay.
action.
You're going to want to see when Cal Kestis comes out, Miguel. You're going to be like, oh, I know what's going on.
I played that video game. That's the kid from Shameless.
Yeah, I know. Shameless.
Oh, man. Do you think he really will show up?
He should.
I saw him on
Honestly,
the red carpet.
his
at
character-
the last Star
Oh,
Wars
you
movie.
did?
So no, I was saying I saw him at the red carpet at the last Star Wars movie, and he was walking around. And I was like, oh, they got to integrate him. I mean, he's a
I
great
tell you,
actor. Why not?
His character in the game was interesting enough. I was very engaged while I played him, but he's also just big enough of a star that it's like you're kind of wasting him if the only thing he's in is the video game.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see it happening, and if it does, maybe I'll become a fan. We'll see.
All right. Well, there you go.
So that's Moon Knight. Later, Gators.
You should have done it in a bad English accent.
Later, Gators.
In my dreams,
In my dreams.
Later, Gators.